Okay. Everybody, Zach again, newtutorial.com, coming in, making a video for you today, and we're going to talk about this recent Shavuot. I had a good time with some friends. I was invited to a Shavuot event, and was really happy to go and meet a lot of people, see a lot of people I've met before, meet some new faces. Had a really good time. But one thing I noticed, that dominated all the conversations, or most of the conversations that you have with people who were there, was all of this stuff going on in the world. It's like, man, what is going on? Is this, the end days? Is the return of the Messiah going to happen soon? And what does it all mean? And, people talking about the virus and people talking about, the demonstrations and protesters and all of this stuff. And what does it all mean? And people are worried. People are scared. And it goes without saying that fear is easy. Fear is easy to get into. It's easy to grab a hold of you. And we as believers really have nothing to fear, because even if our life is taken, we have our life secured in Him. And so and that has just been driven home to me more and more, as I'm trying to navigate the mountain that I find myself on right now, and grab hold of, and just, I've been in a lot of deep prayer recently, just all throughout this process and time, and just trying to grapple with, my new normal and life as it is. And and so I have a little bit of an understanding of how fear, can grapple and just overwhelm you sometimes. And so, but really we have nothing to fear, because our future, our existence, our eternity is secure. And so what believers need to be doing right now, and I shared this, Steve Mutria was asked to come speak there, and I didn't really want to speak. I just wanted to go and enjoy the day. And so Steve asked me to come up, for a Q&A. And I was like, I said, it's like, I didn't really want to go up there, but he kind of forced me to come up there and do this Q&A, peer pressured me in front of the crowd. Anyway, so that was fine. And, this is what came up, what's going on in our world right now. And my main point was, we need to be in prayer and we need to be in the Word, and that's where believers today need to be. And we have, I think, this. Anytime I see things like this happen, I get scared too. I question where the world is right now and what all this means. But I also know that we have a disease in this country, in the West, in the first world countries, really in general, and that's the disease called comfort. We don't know what bondage is. We don't know what hard times are. We have not experienced that. Our grandparents and our great-grandparents, they went through the Depression and then World War II. And the people who went through the Depression also went through, some of them went through World War I. These were hard times that we have not experienced for decades now. And so we have become rather spoiled. No, let's just put it honestly. We're spoiled rotten as a society. We really are. We don't know what hard times are anymore. We have this disease called comfort. And I go back, and everyone wants the Messiah to come. People, it's like a repeating theme, wherever I go, whether there's conferences or wherever, and people want the Messiah to return. When is this going to happen? When will the Father restore His people? And I'm just not there yet. We're not crying out to Him. Let's go to Exodus chapter 2. And if you go to Exodus chapter 2, you go down to the bottom of the chapter. It's the third to the last verse 23. It says, "And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage. And God heard their groaning. And God remembered His covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them." And I don't like that translation very well, the respect unto them. The word there for respect is yada. It means to know. It says God looked, really what it says is, and God looked upon the children of Israel, and God knew them. And God had no knowledge of them. If you look up the word yada, I think it's used like over 700 times in the various forms of know or knowledge. And so it says God knew them. And so He remembered them. He heard their groaning and their cries. And ladies and gentlemen, we're not crying out yet. We're not crying out yet. the pain can get far worse than what it is right now. And so you look at what's going on in the cities, and you look at what's going on with the media, how the media is reporting things, and you wonder, and you hear about all these rumors out there, and there's so many conspiracy theories out there. You don't know what's right. My goodness, the amount of messages on Facebook and Messenger and all the social media platforms that I'm on where people are constantly sending me videos. My green tea. Okay, that's going to get me going. But all of the stuff, people, Zach, you got to share this. This is going to tell everybody what's really going on. Yet that's the messages I get constantly. And I appreciate you people sending me these videos and these things like that, but I don't have near the time to watch all of them. And many of them I have seen, and then people keep sending me over and over again. But it's just, I don't know what to believe, okay? So I don't know. I don't know what to believe. All I know is that God is God. I'm going to be still and let him be God, okay? Just be still and let him take this, because it's, even if these videos or your conspiracies are true and you've got the end line on what's going on in the world today, it doesn't matter. There's nothing you or I can do about it. So instead of worrying about it, instead of, stressing out over these things, let's spend time in the Word. Let's spend time in prayer and start to cry out to the Father for his deliverance. Because right now, I'm not seeing a lot of crying out. I'm seeing a lot of memes being, shared online. Some of them are just downright hilarious, by the way. But we're cracking jokes at this point. We're still cracking jokes. At some point, the jokes are going to stop, and people are really going to start fretting, and they're really going to start crying out to the Father. I really believe in a greater exodus. I believe it's going to be physical. Okay, the dispersion that we read about in Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Lamentations, that was real dispersion, a physical dispersion. And the regathering that it's talked about sometimes in the very same paragraph as the dispersion of the regathering that's going to happen at a later time is also going to be physical. And there's a reason why, and for those of you who are out there who are like, oh, no, Jack, you don't understand. The greater exodus, this greater exodus is going to be a spiritual event. It won't be physical. We don't have to actually go anywhere. That sells really easy. For the same reason the rapture sells, and because the rapture sells because you don't have to do anything. And that's great. We like that. As Americans in the 21st century, here in fat Western society, we love it when someone tells us, hey, you get this and you don't have to do anything. But see, that's not the way we see things in Scripture. The Father loves to show his handiwork. He loves to show off his might and power because he wants everyone to yada, to have knowledge of, and to know that he is Yehovah, Yahweh, however you want to pronounce the name, Yod-He, Vav-He. He wants you to know him. Even the ones who don't like him, he's going to make sure you know him, you yada. And see, that's going to require some things of difficulty, some things of hardship, some things that may make you cry out. And so that's why the rapture theory is so popular. It's why in the 1800s, Scofield wrote his Bible that really basically exploded the rapture theory. I know he didn't come up with it, but he's the one who made it popular. And then now amongst some of us, we have this whole idea that the greater exodus is just going to be a spiritual event. It won't be physical. You don't have to actually walk anywhere. You can't do that. Anyway, Zach, do you really think we're going to walk around the earth? Actually, do you know that you can walk around the entire earth? I mean, I'm just going by a ball here, okay? If the earth is a ball, you can walk around the earth in less than a year. At an average 3-mile-an-hour pace, nonstop, you can walk around the entire earth in less than a year. Now, I suppose that we're probably going to be sleeping along the way. We're not going to be going nonstop 3 miles per hour on an average 3 miles an hour. But let's just say half that time you're asleep, you can walk the rest of the half the time. And you're not going to be going all the way around. That would be ridiculous to make an entire 360-degree circumference of the globe, because it is round. I'm sorry, calm down for you flat earthers out there. But I'm just saying that, let's just say you start here and you only have to go here. Well, you can make that easy within a year. Easy. If you only have to go halfway around the planet, you can make it in less than a year. The math works out no problem. It's physically possible for you to walk the earth. In the first Exodus, it was a miracle. Their clothes and their shoes did not wear out. And the old and the sick and the lame, they all went with him. So if you're in a wheelchair and you're like, oh, this whole spiritual exodus sounds way more feasible for me, you can do it because the Father will give you everything you need to do it. I have faith in that. I believe that because he did it before. So I believe he will do it again. My point in all this is that we have not yet begun to cry out. When that point comes where we cry out, he will, I believe, again, like in Exodus chapter 2, verse 23, and it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage. And God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them. He knew them. He knew them. I'm not saying God doesn't know us now. I believe he does. However, I don't believe we're crying out yet. And I believe it's going to take maybe a lot of some things to get us to cry out to him. We're not there yet. It can get a lot worse. I do believe Israel, his people, will be protected from a lot of what's coming, just like it was in the first, with all the plagues and things like that happened. But we're not at the point where that's going to start yet. I don't know. I don't know where we are in the timeline. I'm not going to even predict where we're at in the timeline. I just know that we have this disease in the West called comfort. And that was my point when Steve called me up there and we started talking. The questions started coming in from the crowd there about, the days we're living in and what does it all mean. I don't know. But what I do know is that the Father's people need to be in prayer and they need to be in the Word. And we need to be looking to that as our source of strength, okay? And to forget the fear. No matter what happens, he's still in control. No matter what conspiracies you're confronted with on Facebook or whatever social media you hang out on, none of it matters because you can't control any of it. He is in control. And let that be the way you quench your fear. You take that fear and you put it out of your mind because he's in control and you belong to him. And to me, that gives me great hope. All right. I hope this has been encouraging. I know it's stressful times out there, guys. But he's in control. Just be still. Let him be God. All right. I'll leave it at that. Go home, read your Bible. Thanks.